Well, there's Steve White, Trekboy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, I just saw an interesting article on Star Trek Discovery. I was actually in bed. I was supposed to be going to sleep, but it kind of got me up because I wanted to talk about it for a minute. Because it's not often you see an article about Discovery that seems to speak the truth, although they're clearly, not Star Trek Discovery fans. Okay, it's called Star Trek Discovery was ordered to return to its action-adventure origins. It's by Chad Porto from 3 days ago. It says, is Star Trek Discovery going back in time? Jonathan Frakes may not meant it as such, but it sure seemed like a threat when he said that Star Trek Discovery was returning to its roots. Frakes, speaking with comicbook.com, revealed that Discovery's last season will see it return to a more action-oriented showcase. Speaking to comicbook.com, Frakes said that the emotion of Season 4 was gone, and it was more fast-paced storytelling. He also compared the fourth season of Discovery to Indiana Jones, going on to say, the first half of the season finale of Discovery, by the way, is Indiana Jones. This year, instead of the heavy emo of Season 4, Discovery is back on track as an action-adventure show, and I guess they got the marching orders to maintain that. Everybody has embraced it, from Michelle Paradise and Alex down through the cast. There's a new energy and a new mandate. It sounds as though Frakes didn't like the fourth season of Discovery, saying, it was a thrill for me to find some levity in some of those scenes. I guess he's speaking about the ones that he did for Season 5. That's why First Contact was successful, because you build and then add just a little levity to let the steam out, so you restart. That's why Deadpool is such a fabulous franchise, because it doesn't hurt. Audiences can handle the levity. The Indiana Jones reference is a perfect example. Nobody does that better than Spielberg. Star Trek Discovery continues to change course. And this is where they go dark. That's okay. It boggles the mind to think about how often the show undergoes drastic tonal shifts and how there are still fans who don't get that this is not a good thing. Successful shows don't change, not really. In seasons 7 or 8, sure. In season 2? In season 3? No. Nearly every season? Unheard of. Clearly, Discovery's end wasn't because they told the story they wanted to tell, but instead a mandate from higher-ups who were tired of having to reboot the show constantly and fork out more money every time to do so. With how poor Discovery's reputation is, even as it was improved by Season 3, and I don't think it was, I think Season 3 was its worst, Season 4 it got better, and the last few episodes actually felt like Star Trek, and I didn't actually mind them. It's a surprise that Bad Robot and Alex Kurtzman are still attached to the series, but it's less about how good you are at your job and more about who you know and what kind of contract you have. But yeah, it's absolutely true. Now look, I like objective articles so you can find fault and things you agree with and give you something to think about. This clearly is an anti, they don't like Discovery, but they haven't said anything that isn't untrue. They did change every season. They changed mid-season several times. And why? Because it wasn't working. And what's driving me a little nuts, I think, is I hate hearing people talk about, it's the 6th anniversary of Star Trek Discovery. It brought in a new era of Star Trek. And I'm like, well, no. They started a new era of Star Trek, which hasn't been great. Discovery was the first show, but it didn't work. That's why they had to change it constantly. They changed it mid-season. They went to Mirror Universe. They tried to make it into a Mirror Universe show because the Klingon War wasn't working. And then they tried to make it into a Captain Pike show. And then they tried to put it into the future and make it into Mad Max, and that didn't work. And they tried to do a more, sort of rebuild Starfleet and do more of a conventional season, which by the end of the season, because it started off bad when they're all a mess, but by the end of the season, it almost resembled Star Trek, and they actually had a few episodes where they were contacting a new species and trying to work out how to communicate with them, and it felt like Star Trek for 3 or 4 episodes, and I was shocked. And I didn't mind it. And I didn't mind how it ended. I didn't mind the president or anything like that. And I was actually hopeful for season 5. And then I hear, no, we're going back to action. We're doing Indiana Jones this year. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake. So they're just changing again, even though they were getting towards something that worked. No. But then they got cancelled anyway, so it doesn't really matter, because I don't want another a 6th season, which would be, what are they going to do? What, Waterworld? What are they going to do next? I mean, they just do something new every season because what they've got doesn't work. And what drives me really nuts is people keep saying that, like I said, that they ushered in a new era of Star Trek. No, they didn't. The show didn't work. People keep saying, if it hadn't been successful, they wouldn't have spun off Picard and Strange New Worlds. I'm like, no, they did Picard and Strange New Worlds because Discovery wasn't working and they had to try something else. Now, hoping that they would work and they could get rid of Discovery, which was more expensive than the new shows, and then replace it. And that's kind of what they did. Picard was limited to 3 years, so that wasn't really going to happen there. But they do have a spin-off possibility of Legacy. But Strange New Worlds basically replaced Discovery. And the only criticism I can really give that, besides, the main criticism people are giving it is that it suddenly dropped all the diversity and that. And I didn't have a problem with that because I like seeing gays in space, frankly. It's just that they were breaking the fourth wall with current day politics instead of doing it all in allegory, which doesn't really work for Star Trek because people don't know how to make Star Trek. They don't know what Star Trek is. They don't. Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to comment on all that. I just mostly the idea that they made spin-offs because Discovery was successful when it was because Discovery was failing and they're trying to find something that worked. That's why they kept doing spin-offs and why they ended up where they were and where they are. And hopefully they will do a legacy series. And hopefully Strange New Worlds will find its feet again, because it was nearly there and then it totally lost the plot and it's gone the wrong direction. I don't know where they're going to end up. They may, fix it by the next season. Who knows? I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.